Africa, a continent brimming with potential. Rich in resources, bursting with talent yet grappling with underdevelopment. We often hear about poverty, disease, and conflict. But what about the root cause? What about the elephant in the room, leadership? Leadership shapes Africa's destiny. We must confront uncomfortable truths to chart a new course. Africa's story is complex, woven with colonialism and internal strife. Yet the continent possesses immense potential. Its youthful population and vibrant cultures hold promise. Unlocking this potential requires a shift in leadership. Leadership is a responsibility, not just power. It's about serving the people and fostering well-being.
African and Western leadership styles present a stark contrast, particularly in their emphasis on community versus individualism. Traditional African leadership prioritizes consensus building and the well-being of the collective. This approach fosters a sense of shared responsibility and solidarity.
Western leadership often emphasizes individual achievement and ambition. Leaders are expected to be decisive, assertive, and results-oriented.
These differences highlight fundamental values and priorities. Africa needs leaders who can bridge this divide, drawing on the strengths of both traditions.
Unfortunately, a darker side of leadership has taken root in parts of Africa. This brings us to the Dark Triad, a trio of personality traits that spell disaster for any society. These traits, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, are often intertwined, creating a toxic brew that hinders progress and perpetuates suffering. Imagine a leader consumed by their self-importance, their every whim treated as law. That's narcissism at play. Now picture a leader who manipulates, deceives, and exploits others to achieve their goals, unconcerned about the cost to others. That's Machiavellianism in action. Finally, envision a leader devoid of empathy, remorse, or guilt, capable of inflicting harm without a second thought. That's the chilling reality of psychopathy. These traits, while present in individuals across cultures, can have a particularly devastating impact when they manifest in positions of power. In Africa, where systems of governance are often fragile and accountability mechanisms weak, the Dark Triad can flourish, leading to corruption, human rights abuses, and a culture of impunity.
The consequences of the Dark Triad in leadership are dire. These leaders become architects of extractive systems, bleeding their nations dry for personal gain. They view their people not as citizens to serve, but as resources to exploit. This mentality fosters a culture of corruption where loyalty is bought and sold, and the rule of law is replaced by the rule of the powerful. Imagine a country blessed with vast mineral wealth, yet its people remain mired in poverty. Picture hospitals lacking basic supplies, schools crumbling, and roads riddled with potholes, all while the leader stashes away millions in foreign bank accounts. This is the stark reality of extraction and exploitation, the bitter fruits of toxic leadership. This is not leadership. It's predation. It's a betrayal of the people's trust, a theft of their present and a mortgage on their future. This is the uncomfortable truth we must confront if we are to break free from this vicious cycle.
The role of foreign aid in Africa's development has been a subject of intense debate. Economist Dambisa Moyo, in her seminal work Dead Aid, argues that aid has often done more harm than good. She contends that it has fostered dependency, fueled corruption, and stifled economic growth. Instead of empowering African nations, she argues, aid has often created a cycle of reliance, hindering their ability to chart their own course. Moyo's critique is not a blanket condemnation of all aid. Rather, it's a call for a fundamental rethink of how aid is delivered and utilized. She argues that aid should be targeted, time-bound, and focused on building sustainable institutions. It should empower local communities, not bypass them. The image of the benevolent West coming to Africa's rescue is deeply flawed. It perpetuates a narrative of dependence and obscures the agency and capabilities of African people. We must move beyond this simplistic narrative and engage in a more nuanced and critical conversation about the role of aid in the 21st century.
If aid is to be a force for positive change, it must evolve. It must shift from a band-aid solution to a catalyst for sustainable development. This requires a fundamental shift in mindset, both from donors and recipients. The focus should be on investing in strong institutions, empowering local communities, and fostering a culture of accountability and transparency. Imagine aid being used not to fund unsustainable projects, but to strengthen democratic institutions, support independent judiciaries, and empower civil society organizations. Imagine aid being channeled into education and healthcare systems, equipping future generations with the knowledge and skills to lift themselves out of poverty. This is not about charity, it's about partnership. It's about working collaboratively to create a more just and equitable world where aid is no longer seen as a necessity, but as a bridge to self-reliance and prosperity.
Amidst these challenges lies a beacon of hope, Africa's youth. This generation, the largest and most connected in the continent's history, possesses the energy, idealism, and innovative spirit to drive transformative change. They are digital natives, global citizens, and passionate advocates for social justice and good governance. However, this potential remains largely untapped. Young people are often marginalized from decision-making processes, their voices stifled by archaic power structures. They face significant barriers to entry in politics, business, and other sectors, often lacking the networks, resources, and opportunities to fully participate in shaping their societies. It's time to unleash the power of this generation. Investing in youth leadership is not just a moral imperative, it's a strategic one. We need to create pathways for young people to engage in politics, entrepreneurship, and civil society. We need to equip them with the skills, knowledge, and networks to lead effectively and ethically.
Cultivating ethical leaders. A blueprint for transformation. Transforming Africa requires more than just replacing one set of leaders with another. It demands a fundamental shift in our understanding and practice of leadership. We need to move beyond the cult of personality and embrace a model of leadership rooted in ethics and service. It starts with fostering a culture that values integrity and transparency, strengthening institutions to curb corruption and ensure good governance. Investing in leadership development is crucial, equipping individuals with the skills and ethical frameworks necessary to lead effectively. Education, the cornerstone of ethical and effective leadership. Education is not merely about imparting knowledge, it is about shaping character, nurturing critical thinking, and instilling a sense of civic responsibility. It is about empowering individuals to become active, engaged, and ethical citizens, capable of leading and contributing to their communities. We must invest in quality education systems that provide all children, regardless of their background, with the opportunity to reach their full potential. This includes not only traditional academic subjects but also essential life skills, such as critical thinking, problem-solving, communication, and collaboration. Furthermore, education should not end with formal schooling. We need to create opportunities for lifelong learning, providing individuals with the tools and resources to adapt to a rapidly changing world. This includes promoting a culture of reading, critical thinking, and civic engagement, fostering a society where individuals are empowered to think for themselves and contribute to the common good. Empowering the youth, a collective responsibility. Empowering the youth is not just the responsibility of governments and institutions, it is a collective duty. Each of us has a role to play in nurturing the next generation of leaders. We can mentor young people, share our knowledge and experiences, and create opportunities for them to learn and grow. Businesses can play a crucial role by providing internships, apprenticeships, and entry-level positions that give young people valuable work experience. Civil society organizations can engage youth in their activities, providing platforms for their voices to be heard and their ideas to be put into action. And most importantly, we need to believe in our youth. We need to trust in their potential, support their aspirations, and create an environment where they can thrive. Their success is our collective success. Their leadership is our shared future. A brighter future towards sustainable development in Africa. The journey towards sustainable development in Africa is fraught with challenges, but it is not insurmountable. By confronting the uncomfortable truths about leadership, investing in ethical leadership development, and empowering the next generation, we can chart a new course for the continent. Imagine an Africa where leaders are servants of the people, not masters of extraction. Imagine a continent where corruption is the exception, not the norm, and where good governance prevails. Imagine an Africa where the youth are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but empowered partners in shaping the present. This is the Africa we must strive to create. It is an Africa where potential is transformed into progress, and where hope is translated into tangible realities. It is an Africa ready to claim its rightful place on the global stage, not as a recipient of aid, but as a beacon of innovation, progress, and prosperity.